Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host Valerie, coming to you from the 2025 Moontower Comedy Festival. My sometime co-hosts, Miss Purrington and Mookie, are resting at home. We are recording from the Stephen F. Austin Upstairs Lounge. It's very nice and quiet. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy. In addition to podcasts, Comedy Wham brings you articles, album reviews, show reviews, our advice column, our listing of festivals from across the country and the world, our FPIA contest page, and my articles for Austin Chronicle and thebarbedwire.com about the Austin and Texas comedy scene. Our most popular feature is our events page for live comedy shows in Austin, Houston, and DFW, where 100% of the entries you see come from comics and producers. Click the Submit a Show button from the top of the homepage or events page to fill out the survey to get your show listed. It's free and easy. Tag us on your Instagram stories and we'll share your show promo to our followers. We also offer paid promo pushes on Instagram. Want to support these resources we provide? You can donate to Comedy Wham on PayPal, Venmo, or even Patreon. Click the Support CW icon on our homepage to see the ways that you can help us. Our podcast was launched in 2016 to bring you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the comedy scene as fascinating off stage as it is on stage. If you like this podcast, please rate and review us.
Here it is.
Here it is, Moontower. You're here.
It's an opportunity, to a little comedy camp, sure.
Yeah.
You get to see all the comics that a bunch of comics I've never met, of course, because there's just hundreds of new comics that are sort of coming up a lot younger, and some not that much younger, but newer to me, and it's been really cool to get to see them.
Yeah.
And that was exciting.
Yeah.
I
How
wish
many
I had some
Moontowers
names.
have you done now?
I don't know, 5 or 6.
Okay.
Can't tell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not, a lot of people will keep track of like different things, like how many years they've been doing stand-up, how many sets they've done, and you're like, I don't know. How about can I get a set today? Can I go to your festival tomorrow? I don't look at the past. No, that's not true. I'm sure I look at the past in different ways. It's all fine. So. Good times.
Yeah, good times. All right, well, we are recording live on location. I have my pre-printed script here. We are at Thompson
The
Hotel.
Thompson Hotel. It's a Hyatt,
Yeah,
you guys.
it's a Hyatt. Okay, and we're here with the 2025 Moontower Comedy Festival, talking to a legendary comic with a career that launched in the 80s.
1,000
after
ships?
heckling Sam Kinison. The balls.
Right.
The balls.
That was. Oh, it wasn't guts. It was drunkenness. I blame it on the tequila.
She tours at least 45 weeks out of the year. She's been on every late night show. She is the host of the Jackie and Laurie show, which I think is doing a debut at Moontower this year.
Well, it's our first. It's a live episode. The debut part is we're doing our first one with a guest. Because we have been around probably 9 years
over
now.
400 episodes.
Yeah, I think so. And then, but this is our first time we have a guest, and it's Janine Garofalo.
Yeah. She's
We're just going to put it up. So if you were to need to listen to it, it's wherever podcasts are found.
Yeah, and she's also the host of the Dork Forest, over 800 episodes.
1,000, because there's 200 that are poorly recorded, and you knock yourself out and you find those. 2006 to 2008, they're just me shouting into the wind.
Oh man, she has a new mini special out called "Looking Back," which I've watched and made some fun little discoveries of people that I know who were part of that special. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then this is just my impression because I follow you, so I know what your social media is like. She's one of the most no BS people that you will ever meet, but she's also one of the most generous comics, because I got an opportunity to do Dork Forest because you were part of Lysistrata Comedy Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And now here we are.
What was your Dork Forest? I remember
Law
your
and
name.
Order. Law and Order.
Oh, the TV
original.
show Law and Order.
The original.
Still have not
None of
seen
the hybrids.
an episode. Still have not seen a full episode of Law and Order.
It is now full, like 20 seasons are on
Yep.
Hulu, and I am restarting. I love that show so much.
You're right. I have always enjoyed the law. I've never enjoyed the order. I'm pro law shows, less order shows.
Well, now, let me formally introduce you. Comedy Wham presents our guest, Jackie Kashian.
Yay!
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's already warm. Let me start by breaking the ice and asking you one word to describe your past.
Oh my God, over. It's done. Over and done. Those are 3 words, but yes. I can't. I mean, and it's also a good it's a good minefield as far as like if you want to do new bits, right?
Yeah,
it's good for comedy because you're just like, well, I'm over the fact that there was some sort of weird, everyone has this, right? Like their parents were either hit them or they talked to them too long, and it was one of those things. I don't know if you were probably not hit as a child, no, but you were talked to at length, I'm sure. Incessantly until you were like, God, how's that hitting coming around? Because I mean, not that you want to get hit, but I mean, there was just like to have my brother explained to his children for hours why they shouldn't do things. It was unsafe, it was unwise, it was unnecessary, or in some cases, just please don't.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
Yeah,
but always words, so many words.
Yeah.
My mother, on the other hand, smack, knock it off.
Yeah,
but you didn't get a lot of depth as to why. Yeah. Anyway, so you look back, but I mean the thing is, there's always something there that you can write more stand up on. Like if you whatever is currently happening, you can go back in time and go, well, why do I want to joke about that, or why do I, what can I do?
Yeah. I talk to comics that are in the 3 to 10 year range, and their origin story is kind of routine, but yours is really unique in that you, and as you have now revealed, you were drunk.
Oh my God, so drunk. That Kinnison thing?
Yeah.
So Sam Kinnison's brother had a club in Madison, Wisconsin in 1984, and I was at college, and I had never seen stand-up before. I had seen, I think there was a terrible TV show. I had seen, I think 1 or 2 sets on Johnny Carson, and not Carson Daly. Thanks. And and then I had seen there was some game show that Gallagher was on once. Anyway, but Make Me Laugh. That was it. Okay. But I'd never seen stand-up, and so they were like, "Hey, there's a stand-up club." And we were 19, and the drinking age is 18 at the time. That's how old I am. And we go, and I was almost like I had never been in public before, and I'm sitting right next to the stage, and I'm doing shots while seated at a theater event. I'm like, shots for sure. And so shots and beers and shots and beers, and Sam Kinison was not, I mean, I look back at it, he wasn't having the best set of his life, it was before he'd kind of blown up.
Yeah.
So, so he had a pause, and I made a comment, and then, so I got a laugh, and he essentially mopped up the floor with me, but I wouldn't shut up. So there was no end to it. And then the manager of the club came over and said, "Hey, open mic is on Sunday, shut up." And 3 weeks later, I went back and I did open mic.
Wow.
And because there were no other comics, I ended up getting sets all the time. So it was great.
And so you loved it from like.
It felt like what I assume is like falling into a vat of heroin. It was delightful. I loved it with the power of the sun, and I got a 1.8 that semester. And then the club burned down. And thank God it was insured. Anyway, but the guy who owned that building is the guy who owns the new comedy club in Madison, Wisconsin, one of the best clubs in the world, called Comedy on State. I just ran into his daughters, the owners of that comedy club, and Eve and Anna, and they are having tacos out by the pool right now here at Moontower.
Wow.
A delight.
Wow.
So.
Industry.
Yes, they are industry, except for that they're so nice. They seem to be sane club owners, which it doesn't always occur.
Yeah. I mean,
Some club owners should have bought a chain of liquor stores, but instead they bought a chain of stand-up comedy clubs, and you're like, yes, taquitos, very important. Anyway,
do you remember when you felt like, yeah, I'm investing everything into this as a full-time endeavor?
No. I knew I wanted to do it always. I wanted to drop out of college almost immediately. And my sister, who I did not know, I had forgotten was the boss of me, she said, no, it's just a couple more years, Jackie. Just finish your degree.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I did, because when the club burned down, I had done stand-up every night for 8 months.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I got a 1.8. And then the club burned down, and I did open mics. I did mics probably twice a week. And then once or twice a month, I could get a gig out of town, right? I could go to Milwaukee or Chicago.
Yeah.
I actually never did go to Chicago. I would get weird, because I didn't have a driver's license until I graduated. And, but then I moved to Minneapolis in 1990. And I knew I needed a day job. I mean, I knew comics who did not make a livable wage, who did not have day jobs, but they just wanted to not have a livable wage. I mean, they were just stacked. I mean, I already had a roommate, too, initially. And I didn't want... I don't enjoy not knowing where the next check is. So I had a day job well into the... I quit my day job in 2003. So that would have been almost 20 years of doing stand-up.
Yeah.
But I couldn't... so I got my half-hour special in 2003, and they gave me what I considered... I knew it wasn't that much money, but I knew it was a big chunk of change for me. It was $15,000. I believe they still pay that for the half hour. That's unfortunate, 20 years later.
Yeah.
But it was $15,000, and I was like, I have got to quit my day job and try to do this full time. And that's when I did. And my boss, I've told this story before 1,000 times, but my boss at the time was so nice. She was like, are we not being flexible enough? And I said, the only way you could be more flexible would be to just continue to pay me and I show up when I want. And she was like, we're not doing that.
What was that job? What was that final job?
Oh, I was just admin job at a closed captioning company. There's a couple comics who were closed captioners, like Kyle Kinane and Matt Bronger were both, and I think there were a couple others, I can't remember. But I never did closed captioning because you were responsible for, in captioning, you're responsible for an actual show. You do that show every week. So you can. My job allowed me to go on the road. She said that I'd go on the road either 2 6-week runs or 1 10-week run, and they would get a temp. That's how hard my job was.
Wow.
I was replaceable, very much so, with a temp. And so she let me do that, and so they would not have allowed that if I was captioning. So, plus, who knows if I would have got the captioning job? You have to take a grammar test, and grammar not my strong suit. So it's better than some, but it's not.
Despite the fact that your thing is words.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. It's why whenever I write anything, I read it out loud, because I can hear the grammar errors, and I tend to use commas as breath marks. Which isn't how they're... I mean, there's a science to it, it turns out. Yeah. They're not breath marks. Yeah. But that's how I can usually tell that I was like, probably use a comma right there. So I don't know a lot about it. I took Latin for 4 years. Still
gosh. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's pretty impressive. I don't know Latin.
Yeah,
Most
me neither.
Don't. Yeah, right.
So, not great.
And what, you've done all of the late night shows?
No.
What?
No, I've not done all of the late. When somebody introduced me with that, I did Conan. It's the only one I've done. Wait, no, then I did Corden. I did Conan and Corden. I have not done Seth Meyers. Right. I've not done Colbert, and I've not done Jimmy Fallon. You know how you get to do those? You submit tape. I have not submitted Jack. They might be willing to have me on.
Yeah.
And they're not going to show up at my door.
Yeah,
It turns out going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do you have 4.5 to 5.5 minutes to do this show? Which is, quite honestly, one of the first TV sets I ever did was that. They came to me, and I was like, oh, is it? And that's how I got my half-hour special, too.
Okay.
It was Naomi, right? And she called me. And so I didn't realize you had to submit to do another one.
Yeah.
Boo!
Yeah.
It turns out I know that you have to send your avails to stand-up comedy clubs to get them to book you more.
Yeah.
The television booking works the same way. I might just be realizing that.
You caught the
Son of
moment
a
here.
Oh, dang it.
Oh.
All right. Well, I'm in for another 20 years, so maybe I'll do something about that now. We don't know.
Your career feels very DIY.
Do it yourself?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't know whose isn't. I mean, I suppose I know that there's people who have a team, but I think that they sought out that team, they created that team around them.
Yeah.
There's, like, when I think of, like, Janelle James or Eliza Schlesinger, even Nikki Glazer, I think that there was building. They've built something.
Yeah.
And not me.
Yeah.
I'm a bit, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to say this out loud because nobody's going to believe me, but I'm a bit of an introvert.
Huh.
And I like being alone. I'm a bit of a solo.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right, because it doesn't sound right.
We had to rein you in from talking to people.
Right, They're like, well, no, you're very gregarious. You're outgoing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a learned skill.
It's a light switch.
And
you prefer it off. But
right, I would prefer to sit in my room and read comic books and novels and play video games, and then someone go, do you want to do stand-up? And I'm like, yes. And I'm always asking for more stand-up sets because that is how I was. I know that you're supposed to do that.
So do you not have a team?
I currently have a PA agent.
Okay. All right.
Which is a personal appearance agent.
Yeah.
And we just started working together because she worked with my previous agent who just retired this year. And so I assume she will, she will do, and people do approach me sometimes and say, do you want to do stand-up comedy I got some guy in the middle of northern New York said, I have a venue, do you want to do it? And I was like, yes, know that I'm going to pass you on to my agent, and she's going to ask you about money and hotel and air, and good luck.
Yeah.
I hope I get the work.
So I guess that's nice because you can kind of say, yes, I'll do that, because you are a road warrior, but by any stretch of the imagination, but you can kind of let somebody else handle some of the
That's the
fine print.
ideal.
Yeah.
That is the ideal. I have a lot of friends who still grind it out by themselves. And last year, when my agent was thinking about retiring, he was like, I don't know. He was overwhelmed. And he didn't know if he was going to get to retire. So he was like, I don't know how much work I'm going to find for you in the first next year. And I was like, okay. And so then I just started sending out avails and trying to get my own work. And then his parting gift to me seems to have been 32 weeks of work. So thank you.
Wow.
But then I had also got my own 6 or 10 weeks of work. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, what will 2026 look like? We don't know. But I live in hope.
So for the chronically introvert, what is it that you love about being on the road so much?
Well, and it's not the road. The road isn't the road's the job, right? It's getting to do the stand-up, which is what I love so much. Like, they always ask, like, what superpower would you want if you could have any superpower? Teleportation. And if anybody didn't want teleportation, they're not thinking it through. Because then I could be home with my husband and the dogs and the cat and my bed and and all the books that I do like. On the road, I usually bring about 6 books, and I usually sleep with them. I usually just scatter them around the bed like a weirdo, and I just kind of cuddle. I cuddle up to some books, and they're not. I mean, I'm currently, I think, reading one nonfiction book, but mostly I read some real fiction. It's some real fiction.
Do you have one book in particular that you like to
reread? Lord of the Rings. But here's what I have: Audible.
Okay.
I have Kindle.
Okay.
Sadly, both owned by Amazon, and I wish I could get away. And then I have just paper novels. You know, I can't bring a hardcover. Stop giving me hardcover books, people. I'm not probably even going to read it because I'm on the road so much.
Yeah.
Paperbacks. And Maria Bamford used to try to buy me romance novels. She was like, "What about this one?" And I'm like, "You can't buy other people's porn. You can't do it." And the romance, she was like, "It has a top hat on the cover," and I'm like, "Good try," because I do enjoy top hat related romance novels, like the Regency romance, like it's sort of Jane Austen era. Yeah, she wasn't writing historical fiction, by the way. She was just writing fiction because she was alive during the Regency, and so everyone should know. And then there's a woman named Georgette Heyer, and then she wrote until like the 70s. There was a terrible woman named Barbara Cartland, and Barbara Cartland was Princess Diana's step-grandmother. But Barbara Cartland wrote these weird Christian-y. The last scene of almost every book was they would kiss at the altar. No sex, not enough making out. Just some, because So, but whatever. But I read a lot of mysteries. I read a lot of science fiction. I read a lot of comic books, and I read a lot of romance novels. And I've read all the Jack Reachers. So I will read a break a guy in half murder thing, right? A vigilante kind of thing too. But it's not, I'm not reading. I've never been a fan of those slice of life, the books that Oprah reads. I've never been a fan. Yeah. I'm like, oh, sad sack realism. No, I'm living that. I'm good. Yeah. I'm already upset. Thank you. Yeah. I don't need to be more upset.
You clearly have a curiosity about things, as evidenced by Dork Forest. I mean, I because I got to do an episode with you, the amount of questions that you asked about the show, and you do that for every topic that somebody brings you.
Right. Yeah. And it's better. Somebody told me they were just starting from the pre-recorded ones are 800 odd years ago, right? Mm-hmm. There's 200 episodes that are on my Bandcamp, along with a storytelling album that has never been released, but is only on Bandcamp. It's released, and then, but the if you listen from the beginning, I'm obviously a much better interviewer than I was. 18 years ago, which is how long I've been doing the Dork Forest. And like this week's episode was, the hell was it? I don't know. Last week was Assassin's Creed, a video game. And then, it's a bit of a blur. I can't remember. But there's it's video games, it's books, it's television shows. But people also enjoy like crafting and bowling and space travel and just the spaceships from Deep Space Nine. Like it can be as specific or as broad as you want to be. Like the musical episodes are always hilarious because I don't know anything about bands. I like music. I'm not a monster. Yeah. But when you talk to me about Fleetwood Mac and then you introduce Stevie Nicks and I say, was Stevie Nicks in Fleetwood Mac? And people go, what's just happened?
You should know that.
Right. She is Fleetwood Mac. And I'm like, is her name Fleetwood? Okay. Is her name Mac? It is not. Hardly my problem. Not my fault. Because I don't do any research. When people come on. Oh, I know what this week's. It was the current run of Daredevil on Disney Plus, the new Daredevil show. And I read Daredevil. Actually, I just stopped reading Daredevil. But I like the Zdarsky run. Anyway, but and I read it for probably 15 years or so. But I have not yet watched it. And he was like, well, it'll be super spoilery. And I was like, I've read enough Daredevil that I know you're not going to spoil anything. Things are going to happen. Foggy, Elektra, it's all right. Don't worry about
In all of the topics that you've ever had covered on the show, have you ever, because it is a kind of a badge of honor that you don't do any research ahead of time, have you ever been like, oh no, that's a topic I'm actually more interested in checking out after?
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I've done after. The music, I usually ask people for like 8 of their favorite songs. That rule came into account because Murray Valeriano gave me a USB stick with 111 U2 songs on it. And I said, you know what you just did, Murray? You gave me a free USB stick. I'm never listening to any of this. Pick 8 songs from U2, and I will listen to them, and I will go, that song sounds familiar. So, because I've probably heard them, you know? Yeah. And, but, yeah, a lot of music stuff, some TV stuff. Oh, the most current one that I've totally gotten into is there was a young man named Sean, a comic from New York, I think. Sean Shane? Can't remember. His topic, because he has a toddler, was Bluey. The TV show Bluey, which is on Disney Plus. It is a 15-minute cartoon series from Australia, and it is cute for kids, and it has adult, like it has the best. It's hilarious. It's awesome. It's heartwarming. There's only, I think, 3 seasons, and I would recommend anyone, if you would like to watch something before bed, and it should never be the news, Bluey would be the way to go.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So you have long-standing friendships with several fellow comics.
Sure, Augie Smith, but the fancy ones, right? There's Maria Bamford.
There's Maria.
And Laurie, Mary Mack. Laurie and I just met.
What?
Like when we first started doing stand-up, when we first started doing the podcast. We had met a couple of times before that, and she said, do you want to do a podcast? And so it's been 9 years doing that podcast, and I had not really hung out with her or known her. And so when we started doing the podcast, she wouldn't talk to me off podcast. She was like, don't save it.
Oh, Sifta.
Yeah, I was like, all right. And so 9 years later, and I've warned her the entire time, you know, we're building a friendship. You don't know this, but we're friends now. And but yeah, there's great comics that Tommy Ryman and Augie Smith, and just guys that I've known from the beginning, and people I've known from the get-go, Hannes Finney, and even Steve Marmel, who I don't see around that much, but a couple of guys I started with, and it's nice.
And it's not just a ha-ha yuck-yuck podcast. I mean, there is an element to that, but you're like talking about the comedy business.
Oh, the industry?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she wanted it to be, kind of more about the industry and more about the writing and more about the process of doing stand-up comedy than anything else. Because there's a bunch of, prior to this and maybe still, there's a bunch of sort of dude comics that do that. And she was like, well, let's do that, but not be dudes. And I said, well, attainable goal. Yeah. Let's do it. And so, yeah.
So you've despite her original wishes, you have built a friendship.
Right. She didn't know. It was a lateral move, us becoming friends. Yes.
And this is going to be released long after, but you are doing kind of a cool thing with your first time guest on the show.
Right, because we have a Patreon, right? And we're with an umbrella network called Max Fun, MaximumFun.org, which has a lot of great shows on it. But and Max Fun does a fundraiser every year, and there's people who donate monthly, and you get an extra episode of Jackie and Laurie. And I think one year we did have people guest on that. And then our Patreon, which is obviously just a Patreon, you have $5, you get the videos and also an extra episode a month where we interview somebody, but just for a half hour. Like we did Nikki Glazer, and we did Carol Leifer, and we did Aaron Jackson, and we've done a lot of really great comics. And but this is the first time we're going to sit down for an hour with another comic. And I know that Laurie is going to be like, I want to ask you all the things about how you became successful. And Janine Garofalo is just going to sit there going, I don't feel successful. Yeah. And I'm going to be like, the two of you should talk forever because you're both very successful. I don't know if you know this. Both of you own land. You win if you own an apartment in New York City. You get to live indoors the whole time for the rest of your life. And I, of course, own a house in Los Angeles, but that married into that. Good job. Nice, a real job. Nice. I am part of the solution now, though, financially. Thank you very much. Okay.
I alluded to this earlier, but your social media presence is very strong.
Oh, right, because it can be kind of political.
Yeah, and I want you to talk about the shirt that you're wearing today, because
this is from
Texas.
Right, which is where you should wear this shirt.
Yes.
And I try to wear it in airports because and I will often get people ask me if they can take a picture of it, or because it's got a QR code, and it says abortion pills by mail, and what it does is it just sends you to planc.org. And planc.org has the laws for every state. It has a place to get abortion pills by mail, but it tells you how to get them and how to legally get them and how to not get in any sort of trouble for getting them in some of these states that are like, no, we're gonna force you to die.
Yeah.
And so my father consistently is like, you have to be less political, and I'm like, or I could just be less alive, Dad. I don't want to be political. I'm a person, so I'm going to vote and I'm going to support different stuff I do.
Yeah. But
my stand-up has always been relatively socio-political until Donald Trump and the Nazi Party. I can't. What am I going to just? I don't know how to write jokes about things that aren't happening around me, first of all. Yeah. And second of all, it's not, people are like, when he first got elected in 16, whatever that was, and he said, people are like, well, the comedy writes itself. And I'm like, oh, I'd be more than willing to spend a lot of time writing harder jokes with other people in charge. We just spent 4 years with Joe Biden where we didn't have to think about government.
Right.
We could just live our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's over. And there were still bad things happening. There was still plenty of things that needed to be corrected, but he was undoing the 4 years of Trump before him.
Right.
Luckily, and I will say this, is that in the 4 years of Joe Biden, he fixed a lot of bridges.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, a lot of infrastructure.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good because guess who's not going to fix one fucking bridge?
No.
Donald Trump or the douche nozzles that are around him. So, so be it.
Yeah, and it's going to take a hell of a lot longer than 4 years to undo everything
that he's doing here.
Because here we are, we're not even at day 100.
Yeah. He, you can undo a government in weeks.
Apparently. Yeah.
Mobilize a bunch of people, 360 million people, is going to take a second. But we get closer to 1789 and Bastille Day every year. Every day. Just true. Closer to Bastille Day, which, of course, was a mess. And they had if you think about the French Revolution, they had 4 revolutions. They had 4 civil wars over the course of like 100 years. And they could not rebuild until I think it was the 20s, the 1920s. Might have been actually before World War I, but I can't remember. But I know that there was one in 1789. There was another in 1849. Look it up, people. I'm so sorry I don't have my World Book encyclopedias from 1965.
What is your favorite? Because I know inevitably by being political and being the stand-up, you have no doubt heard, stick to comedy.
Oh, God. My father. that jackassery. I was like, how about you stick to being somebody's dad? Why don't you do that?
What is your favorite takedown of somebody that, or are you the, I'm going to ignore you, this is my platform, I can say whatever the hell I want, or do you ever engage in?
Oh, I don't engage.
Okay.
Yeah, Laurie engages. She enjoys engaging. I enjoy blocking.
No.
I enjoy, just going, oh, let me help you away from me.
Yeah.
And that's, I type that, and then I block them before they get to read that, which is always a disappointment to me. Because I think it's a funny line. Let me help you away from me. And then I block them. That's funny. Sadly, they don't get to read that. Nobody even gets to read that. Because I block them, and then it deletes whatever comment they've got going. So, yeah. I don't, actually, weirdly enough, I don't get that much hate mail. And I don't get that much guff.
Yeah.
Laurie gets a lot of guff.
Interesting.
Maybe it's because she engages.
Maybe. I don't know.
But all I know is I'm like,
I'm terrified of you. I'm not terrified of Laurie. Maybe that's why.
you're scared of me?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I wouldn't want to mess with you.
well-
Not that I would want to mess with Laurie, but
No.
I feel like,
What do you think would happen if you messed with me? I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, not a
You'd probably
lot.
tell me, let me help you away from me. I never know it.
It's yeah, I am not. I was raised with more hitting than Laurie, but I have, I've mostly I've mostly gotten a hold of my anger issues. I am working on a big issue, a big bit about my anger issues, because there's, like when you think about nonviolent protests and being this middle-aged white lady that I am, and cops will pull their punches. Cops will come to a white woman and just stop short of touching them. I've seen videos of it where you're like, there's like, I saw some video. It was a young black man talking. He was standing on a table, and he was talking about George Floyd, I think, or something like that. And the cops kept trying to get to him, but he was surrounded by white women.
Huh.
And none of them would touch the women, would touch the white ladies. Like if they were black women, they might have just pulled them out of the way.
Yeah.
And if they were men, they would have just pulled them out of the way. But I'm their sister, I'm their mother, I'm their aunt, and that's their problem, man.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
And if I can stop, somebody from being dragged off to El Salvador, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not psyched about it, but I hope that I'm doing this joke where I'm like, I'm a rule follower, but I like to think that I would hide Anne Frank. And I'm about to find out. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
All I know is it's not gonna be easy, It's not going to be easy to undo all this and to course correct this. But here's what I do know, is that it does get course corrected. Today I woke up and I realized that the Nazis didn't just kill like non-white people and gay people. They also killed every intellectual and interesting human being, and then people with medical problems and Down syndrome.
Post today.
Yeah. And if you look at Germany today, they're full of weirdos.
It's full of weirdos.
They got all kinds of weird things going on, and I was like, they're awesome.
Yeah.
And then they were, of course, the first country to ever do reparations to the Jews, followed by Australia, who did reparations to the Aboriginals. And it's, it doesn't fix all of it. It doesn't stop institutionalized racism. It doesn't stop racism at all. But it's hopeful, because on the other side of this, I may not be here.
Yeah.
I don't care. I have had a lovely life. My husband was like, hey, we have to figure out who we're going to leave our small amount of, but not insignificant amount of money to. You have royalties. And I was like, right. He goes, our nieces and nephews? And I'm like, I suppose, but they all seem to have jobs, and what do they need my money for?
Yeah.
Well, give it to the ACLU or somebody, and I don't know. So we haven't figured that out.
Yeah. You bring some of this on stage?
The rage, for sure.
Yeah.
It's for a couple of years I've been working on a bit where I talk about how angry I am and how I'm made of bees. And I even have merch, you guys, JackieCation.com. I got a Made of Bees t-shirt and a Made of Bees beanie. And they're union made, because why not?
Nice. Nice.
They give it a shot if someone's willing to. And they are relatively expensive because of that. My apologies. But they are made by Americans, so they run big.
Huh?
So so yeah, I do talk about that. I do love that I've recently written some jokes that are not political. You know, that I have a driving chunk that is just about driving.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's probably 4 to 6 minutes. Yeah. Yay!
And that kind of segues into the Looking Back mini
the
special.
Looking Back mini special, which I did approximately 2 years ago. I know I have to reskin my website. I don't know how to do the fancy things that she did, and I don't want to pay her. So I have to figure it out. It's just Squarespace. I should be able to replace those. I should be able to replace those banners, is what I'm saying. And I'm going to do a new special and a new album in November. Nice. So I might leave the Looking Back thing out until November.
Yeah.
And if I could figure out how to write this pacifism bit, I think I can. I'll have a name. And if I don't, because I was thinking of calling it doing a trilogy, because my last album was called Staycation, because we were all home, and then this was going to be called Altercation, because I'm angry. And then I don't know what the third one would be called. Obviously, Clarification or something. But it's some damn thing. But if I can't get the anger bit done, I might do. I might just call it Good News. Because there's a punchline at the end of my act where I say good news. And yeah, so I don't know.
One of the fun discoveries that I made when I was watching Looking Back is I remember meeting Anna Valenzuela.
Oh yeah,
when she came to Austin pre-pandemic. And
she's on the road right now.
Yeah.
Anna V is funny. Yeah, that's her handle.
That is her handle. She did our online shows as well, and she always had the little tiny hands on her fingers, and that was my favorite thing that she did. And then I'm a huge fan of Dave Hill, so your closing song.
Oh, right, Dave. He did.
I'm like, oh my God.
Dave Hill is a genius, of course, and Anna V is silly. Awesome. I think 10 or 11 years in, she's just starting to get her stride, I think. She's amazing. So yeah, people should find her. She's great. And then Kyle Clark directed and edited for me. He essentially held an iPhone camera up to the rear view camera in a back of a Mazda 6.
Yeah.
And then I told jokes into the ass camera of a vehicle. And that's about 11 minutes.
In
the alley right by my house. And so, yes. So it was 11 minutes of me trying to remember all of my car jokes. I had just done the staycation thing, and I had paid for it myself, and I was irritable that no one had bought it. And I was like, because here's something, being in the Jackie and Laurie show, Laurie is like, well, that's not fair. You should have gotten this. And I'm like, right. And I wouldn't have remembered to be angry, because I tend to forget to be angry about comedy, because I get to do another set. And once I do another set, I forget to be angry about my career.
Yeah. Well, as we wind down, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want people to know about you?
I think we summed it up. I got a new album, a new special that I'm going to record in November in Portland, Oregon. I have 7 albums now and 2 specials. They can go to JackieCation.com and see a bunch of clips or links to those specials, because they're just on YouTube. You can listen to my albums on Spotify and Pandora and Amazon and wherever you listen to music. I have merch. I'm on the road all the time. I open for Maria Bamford. If you like Maria Bamford, she's the best. Yeah. And I open for Brian Regan, who is one of the greatest. And he is squeaky clean, so whenever I go up just to do that 15, 20 minutes, I'm always like, don't have Tourette's. And because there's a 9-year-old in the second row, and that kid doesn't need it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be turned into an old soul by this one. And yeah, and then I'm doing my hour all around the country too, so yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I've got a closing question for you.
What's
one word to describe your future?
Hopeful.
Complete opposite of over.
Yeah. I like having one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, same. All right. Well, that is a wrap on Comedy Wham presents Jackie Cation. Jackie, tell us where people can find you and promote. Well, you just promoted.
I just did. And JackieCation.com. Also, FamilyPetAncestry.com. Points to JackieCation.com. I bought that because it's funny.
Oh.
I like the idea of someone going, did my cat come over on the Mayflower? Is my dog eligible to join the Dogs of the American Revolution? FamilyPetAncestry.com.
Oh my God. Hilarious.
And then it just points to JackieCashian.com. Family Pet.
Well done. Well
Ancestry.
done. We hope you've enjoyed learning about how Jackie got to be the comedic genius that you heard today, just as much as I have. This has been Comedy Wham Presents Jackie Kashian. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Jackie.